Welcome back to Truce of a Madman. So, I do want to apologize. I mean, at least for returning viewers. Been like over a month since I've done any kind of upload to the channel. I mean, I know I don't have a lot of a big audience, but excuse me, but I want to keep some kind of consistency. This is my pet project. Basically, I want to be a protagonist for the cause of socialism. But all that aside, I do apologize. I don't have a lot of time to apply to this kind of thing, but I do as much as I possibly can. And thank you if you're returning, and if you're new, I hope you enjoy. So today I have one hot off the presses from Second Thought called the new Red Scare is here. So haven't seen it yet. I saw they just uploaded. So I wanted to watch this with you guys and do a reaction to it, talk about anything. I usually align pretty well my ideology with the Second Thought channel, but we'll see. Let's do it, guys. Let's get into this.
You don't seriously think you're going to get Americans to go communist, do you?
It sure sucks
communist.
to be right all the time. 4 years ago, we made a video about the Red Scare coming back, and, well...
The future looks red, as in communist.
We have been fighting the spread of communism.
Communist dictators, that's what we're dealing with right now, Donald Trump.
You could go through her.
All right, so hold on a second. I hate the mainstream media, for one thing, just all around, okay? But for another, it's like, I can't believe it's either a total misunderstanding or it's a blatant lie, misdirection, how they frame communism. They always put dictator and communist together, and then you just said something about Donald Trump being a communist. He's like a fascist, so it's just it's total jumble. It's totally confusing for just the everyday Joe that's watching this fucking dumb news, you know what I mean? So anyway, here we go.
Ideology, it's the ideology of a communist.
We will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society.
Terrorists.
It's the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa.
Just look at...
That's ridiculous. That's not the first time. They've been doing this since capitalism, was threatened since the beginning, really. I mean, not since the beginning, because when we developed this country, we kind of had free reign. And I would say after World War II, it got really bad, and it's continued. It's like communism is such a threat to capitalism. America has built this global capitalist system best that they possibly can, infiltrated it everywhere, and communism has always been a threat, not because it's evil or it's authoritarian or because of anything else. It's because it threatens capitalism, and capitalism only benefits the few that accumulate the wealth. You know what I mean? And it hurts everything and everybody else. So like, that is the threat. That is the reason for the police state, for the huge amounts of money budgeted for the military. But this guy saying, I forget his name, that Nazi guy saying that, it's the first time ever. They've been doing this forever. They've been doing this since, I would say after World War II, they've been really pushing this Red Scare stuff. But yeah, it's never ending until we as communists overthrow this capitalist system,
The result of yesterday's election in New York, where their party installed a communist as the mayor.
We're in the first stages of a new Red Scare, and things are getting hotter for sure. Frog in a hot tub kind of vibes. Not exactly stewing yet. But the heat is definitely there, and the jets are hitting just right.
Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
No peoples in the world can feel secure against this aggression.
It is a matter of national
So aggressive that they try to help their people in a communist system.
But first, it's ad read time, because God knows we're not making any money from YouTube AdSense. Thank you, Google. Skip ahead to
Google.
this timestamp if you hate me and don't want to support my work. This episode is sponsored by Aura, the only cool company on this cursed.
Of course, I want to support his work. I don't actually support monetarily. Second thought, but I do support the Deprogram podcast that him, Ugopnik, and Hakeem do. So that's what I can do. Love that podcast. Anyway, here we go.
Platform. Google your name real quick. Odds are some of your personal information comes up, right? If I search my name, it's just my public social media profiles. That's because Aura is my digital watchdog. If they get even a whiff of my data being sold, traded, or exposed in a breach anywhere on the internet, including the dark web, they track down the source and make sure they have a bad time. There are companies out there called data brokers whose whole purpose is to find and sell your data.
Parasites,
they do it without your consent, and they make billions selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. They are the worst. Thanks to Aura,
I don't know about the worst, because there's a lot of landlords that are
them to
just
remove
as
my
bad,
data, and they keep it removed.
Or CEOs,
but that's just part
anyway,
of why I use and
billionaires.
genuinely appreciate Aura. It's an all-in-one security
They're one
tool.
of the worst.
They provide real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, 24/7 identity theft monitoring, a secure VPN, antivirus, parental controls, password manager, credit checker, and a lot more. And if somehow anything does happen, Aura includes $5 million in identity theft insurance. And they have US-based
I'm just letting him do his ad read in my video just
if you're
because
anything like me, I'm sure you're sick and
that many
tired
people
of
watch
these
my video,
stupid,
but if there is
evil
anybody
little
comes
companies
along
stealing
and
your
watches
personal
me that's
information
never seen
and
Second
using it
Thought,
to make a quick buck. That's
I mean, I
why
want to help
use
support
Aura.
them
It
in
keeps
any way
me
possible,
and my
you know?
family safe online. If you're ready to protect your data, you can get 2 weeks absolutely free when you use my link. During
use
those 2
that
weeks,
link if
you'll
you
see
want to
exactly
sign
where
up
your data is
for
being
Aura.
leaked and who's doing it. Give it a try. I promise you'll appreciate the peace of mind. And now, back to the show.
We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty.
Okay, so Red Scares.
Hammer and sickle.
I won't lie to you, these things are usually pretty easy to spot. Red Scares are periods, historically speaking, during which civil liberties are attacked in the name of defending America from domestic movements for justice and equality.
How does communism
democracy.
exist if it is so intolerable to the people it rules?
The evil communists.
It is a way of life, an evil and malignant way of life.
They take over organization after organization.
Let's
in
demonize
America
it, you know?
in just 2 steps.
So we can protect
Infiltration
capitalism.
and agitation.
I don't think you have any conception of the danger of the Communist Party.
Oh yeah,
To some extent,
dangerous.
there's
Fucking
always
fucking
some
bullshit,
of that going
dude.
on. But in
I hate
moments
that
where you
stuff.
have an unpopular war, economic problems at home, and visible racialized violence coming together, like we do today, that's when the communist label starts being thrown around and becomes much more toxic.
Communist?
Communist.
He's a straight-up communist.
Oh my
And the
God.
effects of that can be devastating. Just a few months
He's a
ago, we saw
social
one of the
democrat.
clearest signals that things are escalating when Trump signed the National Security Presidential Memorandum Number 7, also known as the NSPM 7. This is not a normal executive order. It's not an executive order
Counter
at all.
domestic
I know,
terrorism.
it's
See, that's a blatant attack against the left and socialists and communists and anybody with the ideology that's could be anywhere adjacent or equal to anti-capitalist, you know, which is me. So I'm one of these domestic terrorists, you know what I mean? Trying to take care of my family, trying to care about human decency, trying to care about other humans that capitalism is destroying and the planet, which is probably should be in the forefront of all our minds. So, you know, I just can't believe this stuff. This stuff is drives me crazy, but it's like I said, it's been going on for so long. It's nothing new. It's just crazy how they'll use it to label things that are wrong when communism is like the opposite of that. It's capitalism that causing these crises. You know, communism, if it was allowed to, at least socialism, is if it was allowed to continue and build and develop, quickly people would start seeing how much better it could be. And then if it was allowed to continue over decades and planned right, we would change the world. You know what I mean? Better world is possible, is the saying. So definitely true. So here we go.
Become way too easy to tune those out with the over 200 Trump has already signed, but NSPMs are actually an entirely different kind of document. Unlike executive orders,
attack on our national security,
operations, NSPMs are specifically for the defense, foreign policy, intelligence, and law enforcement apparatus. So, cops.
Yep. Police state.
And in this NSPM, the 7th ever, all those sectors are tasked with
capitalism.
a new project. Quote, disrupting groups, organizations, and even individuals who display any of the following things that the NSPM calls indicators of violence: anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, extremism on gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family.
Oh my God, bullshit.
These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people.
As far as Red Scares go, this one is really
the wealthy
on the
people
nose.
are the ones that want to change capitalism, right?
Any of these views, which it doesn't bother to carefully define, a sort of pre-crime that just about anyone to the left of the MAGA crowd could reasonably be accused of. And it gives the DOJ the authority to investigate people who hold these views without any of this having to be approved by Congress. Which is useful because some in Congress have already caught on to what's going on here.
It certainly
McCarthyism again, you know?
Like it's a strategy to take folks you disagree with and label them a terrorist threat.
Yeah, so you can attack them.
Absolutely no such threat at all.
Just like they're attacking immigrants.
The NSPM 7 is a concerning development, but in all honesty, we've already seen what this sort of crackdown looks like before it was even signed. Remember the anti-ICE protests in LA last summer?
Our continuing coverage of the fast-moving developments in Los Angeles. Today, protesters were back out on the streets for the 3rd consecutive day. President Trump deployed some 2,000 National Guard members in response to violence and chaos in the city.
In June, the SSCC put 3 organizations, quote, on notice for what it calls supporting coordinated protests and riots, lawless mob actions, and aiding and abetting criminal
Just
conduct.
because they're protesting against something that's wicked.
Concerning enough on its own. But in this same letter, these 3 groups were also told they now have to keep all communications and contractual, financial, travel, and strategy information related to their role in, quote, planning, coordinating, or funding the protests, or face possible criminal investigation.
Oh my God.
And
Such an
while
attack
on
on
paper,
freedom,
this
really.
means that
I mean,
there's
that's
nothing
what
to hide, there's nothing to fear. The reality is that this is a pretty common intimidation tactic.
There's really no such thing as freedom and democracy in America, at least not as far as being able to have your own ideologies that are against the way that capital accumulation is, and the way that there can be billionaires and soon to be trillionaires. I mean, and at the same time there can be children that are going hungry and homeless. I mean, if you can't just look at that as a human being and see that there's something majorly wrong, even if you don't look any further than that, at least you can see that, you know what I mean? And so that's what they're trying to protect here, is their accumulation of wealth and power, you know, with all of this. So we need to get some class consciousness and start to see through this stuff. Don't watch the mainstream media unless you already have class consciousness and you can see, you know, the contradictions. Okay.
Tactic that's been used in the last 2 Red Scares of the 20s and 50s to shut down progressive orgs. Without needing to take anyone to trial, warnings like these create fear, and that fear drives down membership. Abiding by these demands and surrendering all this data also takes work, and therefore resources, away from organizing and recruiting, which also hurts membership. This kind of scrutiny also opens the door to facing all sorts of penalties for non-compliance,
any kind of organizations,
which are bad enough already, but they can also implicate people outside the immediate organization who become guilty by association. Effectively, this is a low-effort way for the state to hurt progressive organizations and their communities without anybody needing to be formally tried for any crime. The accusation is destructive enough. To give you an idea, this very kind of thing shut down groups like the CAA back in the 50s, when 18 years of pressure just became too much. And let's actually stay on the 50s for a second, because there's a lot to learn about how Red Scares
should be
back then.
Putting it towards affordable housing and healthcare as a human right.
Communist penetration of the Hollywood film industry.
I don't believe it's a political party.
Communist penetration of everything.
And I feel that they really ought to be smoked out.
Oh my God.
When you hear about the second Red Scare,
these people.
if that's something that happens to you, it's usually through the prism of what happened in Hollywood.
These are the Hollywood 10. In the fall of 1947, they were subpoenaed to appear before the House Committee on Un-American Activities. They were tried and declared guilty. They appealed their cases to the higher courts, and their appeal was denied. All 10 are now in federal prison, serving 1-year sentences.
The big thing people know about the 50s Red Scare is
just for having
blacklists.
Different
naming
ideology.
Names. Lists of over 900 people suspected of being communists and thereby ostracized from having any place in Hollywood.
The 6 or 7 major studios early in December of 1947 made this announcement that 10 persons who had refused to divulge before the committee their political affiliation would no longer be employed in the Hollywood motion
What an
picture
attack.
industry.
Writers had to go underground. Oscar-winning actors weren't hired for decades. Studios
There's no
abandoned
such thing
their
as democracy
During the height of McCarthyism
and freedom. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say
high.
early. Sorry if I keep interrupting, but I lost my point earlier. But I was going to say that there's no such thing in America as democracy and freedom that they throw around. It's there for the ruling class and the billionaires and the capitalists. It's there. They have freedom and democracy, freedom to exploit and freedom to destroy the planet with their business practices. But as far as, civil rights and freedom of the people to be able to, say that, no, I don't agree with your ideology. It doesn't make me un-American. It only makes me have a different ideology than capitalism. I don't see it working for me. So I think I like the ideology of socialism better, because that seems to care more for humans, So anyway, that makes sense.
It was enough to ruin lives and careers.
I think it was probably a very necessary thing at the time.
Oh my gosh, it's John Wayne.
The radical liberals were going to take over our business.
Oh my God.
And had it only been that, the Red Scare would
John
have already
Wayne
been a massive attack on
thought
freedom
that way, or
and
I wonder
free
if he just
speech.
said that.
But the second Red Scare
if he
was
really believed
much more than blacklists. Quote, by official counting, 2 people were executed by the state, several hundred academics were fired, several thousand went to prison or were deported, and several tens of thousands lost their jobs as state or federal workers.
I didn't know about that.
The FBI spied on Americans in the civil rights movement. The Supreme Court upheld the convictions of those who refused to name names. Cities like Chicago barred suspected communists from public housing. And New York even denied fishing licenses to those who wouldn't swear an anti-communist loyalty oath.
God, that's
Wouldn't
you
even
call
give them
that
the benefit of
freedom?
the trout. Now, on the organization side of things, groups like CPUSA, CAA, and the CRC were banned and or lost tens of thousands of members. We're talking about a huge chill across all of civil society.
It did so
and
much
not
to
just in socialist groups
undermine
that were officially targeted,
anything
as you might
good.
expect, but almost everywhere on the left. And I'll let you in on a secret. That was the point. While on their face, Red Scares designate communism as the enemy, communism is a flexible enough word to include anything vaguely progressive the government wants to target.
Yeah.
They are
The war on terror.
dirty,
a threat to our national security. So we're going to go in and take their resources. I mean,
and it
defend
is not
America.
an American political party like any other.
During the 50s, that meant things like targeting black activists pushing for equal human rights especially aggressively, and seriously
pushing for
undermining
equal human
progressive
rights. I can't
programs
believe
like the
those
New Deal.
communists.
Now, the New Deal was not a communist project, just to
No,
be
the
clear,
New Deal was
but
just a
under
concession because
McCarthyism,
they were
fear
afraid of
Reds became the justification
revolution
for a
at that
total
point.
assault on workers' rights that the New Deal had improved. For example, one way the New Deal was sabotaged was with the Taft-Hartley Act. Taft-Hartley curbed the right to strike and boycott and made unions much weaker
Undermining
as a
workers'
result. And
rights.
Taft-Hartley was far from the only strategy used to achieve that. A big part of the Red Scare was also the thousands of state and federal workers being purged from the government. Black, Jewish, and queer workers were disproportionately targeted and accused of innate communist sympathies
that they can
and fired
attack.
en masse, thereby gutting the government of its more social and regulatory powers in the process. And to that end, this scare looks a lot like the last one.
We are now in day 31 of the government shutdown, and many SNAP recipients will not receive benefits tomorrow on the 1st of the month.
As of writing this, 40 million people just went without
$1
SNAP
trillion+
benefits for
to the
weeks
military.
as Trump blamed the shutdown on Democrats and labeled them part of the, quote, radical left. Last year, Doge
the Democrats
tore
are
through hundreds
radical
of
left.
thousands of federal jobs led by
I
a
can't stand
billionaire
that
whose
guy.
life mission is being anti-woke. And you
Fucking
probably
sicko.
missed this, but last January, the chair of the NLRB, the part of the government in charge of enforcing labor law and protecting workers from unfair labor practices, was fired, meaning the
I heard that one.
NLRB is now, quote, toothless, according to another fired NLRB official.
No
and we're well on
worker
the way to the
protection.
National Labor Relations Act being repealed
that there was much
entirely.
anyway.
This could potentially mean no more federal right to collective bargaining or worker organizing at all.
That's so awful.
And
Totally
if there's some
undermining.
stir around the words communist and Antifa today, woke seems to be the preferred wedge for forcing these tactics through these last few years. Communism is bad, always, but woke is scary now. So now everything is
Woke
woke,
is scary.
from universal healthcare to drag, and under this label, anything and everything becomes a very real threat
All of us
to
marginalized people
Americanism. See,
organize
real
together
Americans don't watch
and
drag shows
fight against
or
this.
afford
That's
life-saving
what should happen.
procedures or protest. That's lib woke commie shit. Real Americans shut up and take it.
Real
And
American.
Take it.
I want to
Some
be a
people
real
are.
American, JT.
Just like in previous Red Scares, we're seeing private institutions willingly running away from woke like their predecessors ran away from red. If the last Red Scare relied on Hollywood to self-police, today law firms, universities, major brands, and hospitals have all already shown themselves to be ready to bend the knee.
Oh, yeah.
They've rejected any association with wokeness, and in the process have happily helped this Red Scare along without even being forced. And the effects of that can be dramatic. For past Red Scares, all the infiltration, intimidation, and general destruction of civil society poisoned the well on progressive politics for years. At the end of World War II, the progressive movement was rich and interconnected. Membership in groups like CPUSA peaked.
Yeah, even
Anti-fascism
in the
was
60s.
anti-capitalism, was anti-racism, was anti-imperialism, was anti-war. There was a clear and popular sense that to fight for one cause was to fight for them all. In the same way that today's No Kings protest opposed
war.
gross abuses of government power and horrifying kidnappings by immigration officials and wealth accumulation by billionaires, even if they do so vaguely, so too did the pre-Red Scare progressive movement unite all those who couldn't accept injustice in all its forms.
All the currents are
But the
too
Red
mixed
Scare
up. They need to
wiped
come
out
together
that
into a river.
solidarity.
You know?
Being associated with anyone on the left was just too risky. So the fight for democratic socialism and human rights was quickly watered down into a more palatable protest for holding on to liberalism as the government was gutted and incrementally extending civil rights to more groups. It took years, until the late 60s, for the spirit of intersectional struggle to come back. Even though he's now associated almost exclusively with the fight for civil rights, MLK is a good example of this. He said things like, quote, "We must see now that the evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism are all tied together. You can't really
into
get
a
rid
river.
of one without getting rid of the others." He believed that capitalism had, quote, outlived its usefulness, and most famously of all said, quote, "Call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, but there must be a better distribution of wealth within this country for all God's children." But between the 50s and the 60s, too much organizational power was lost, and these beliefs and their associated demands just became too ambitious. Within months of launching the Poor People's Campaign, a new movement that brought all these struggles together again, King was assassinated, and the rest of the Cold War years successfully buried his mission.
The problem of racism, the problem of economic exploitation, and the problem of war are all tied together. These are the triple evils that are interrelated. What I'm saying today is that we must go from this convention and say, America, you must be born again.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say here is that Red Scares aren't just mass moral panics like you might typically think. They are concerted efforts to force progressives back to the center with fear. The message coming from the very top is moderate, accept that you have
always
no power,
protect capitalism is the name of the game.
The good thing is that we're seeing people rejecting this deal.
Not my game.
The biggest city in the country just elected a socialist. Running to the center lost the Democrats the presidential election. Membership in left-wing orgs is reaching new highs. Protests have never had as many attendees. Everywhere you look,
Palestine.
Yes, you see intimidation
Solidarity,
and recycled
baby.
tactics, but you also see courage and community and resistance. People are still organizing, still fighting for justice, still demanding equality, and getting results.
Good news.
Think of it this way. They wouldn't bother scaring people that they're not scared of themselves.
True. Getting to them. All right, you guys. Hopefully I didn't talk over them too much or rant too much. I am going to try to do these reaction videos probably most of the time. The video essays that I've done, I do love doing them, but they take a lot of time. And at this point, my channel doesn't get much activity, but people who do come and check it out or subscribe, I really appreciate it. This is me trying to do anything I can to throw down, dismantle capitalism, and move into a more egalitarian society, you know? So anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this. We will see you next time, whenever that might be, hopefully soon. And workers of the world unite.